Welcome to episode 4 of The Diary of the Wife of the Dying Man. Um, Thank you for being here again and staying with me. I hope it's interesting. Please do make some comments. I will reply to comments. And please do subscribe and share this with people that you think it might be useful for. Feel free to ask me questions and I can answer them in next episodes as we go through the time. But thank you very much anyway. And this is episode 4, and this is all about planning and scheming. So, whilst Mick has been in hospital, I have spent this week planning and scheming in a good way. So, in the few days between being told he had 2 years to live and him being admitted, we did have some fun talking about holidays. But to make it a reality, there are a few things that need to fall into place. And I'm going to be very honest here and tell you about how I feel about him only having two-ish years left to live. I'm celebrating. I am celebrating because I feel like I've had a life sentence significantly reduced. Don't get me wrong, I love my husband dearly and I'll be very sad when he dies. Life has not been how we imagined it. When Mick was diagnosed with MS in 2008, it changed our lives, both of our lives. Obviously, it affected him dreadfully. And whenever I feel hard done by, I always remind myself that I'm glad I'm not him. But I am me. I'm the wife. I'm the carer. I'm the organizer. I'm the breadwinner. I suddenly became responsible for everything, and he pretty much gave up. I'm not blaming him for that. I think it was about after 2 years of his diagnosis of MS that he just kind of stopped caring and life changed. Now, fortunately, I'm very capable, independent, resilient, and positive. And I am also a control freak, which he would happily tell you. So I did just take over. And to be honest, I probably facilitated some of his behavior. But, we all have to deal with things the way that we do. And I tried to get him to, take an interest in things still, and he just didn't. And then, of course, I find myself in a no-win situation where I'm making the decisions. And then if he's not happy with the decision, it's all my fault. And sometimes because of his memory, I will have discussions with him and we'll agree things, and then later on he'll throw it back in my face. But I know that's part of the condition. I've learned to live with it, and I understand that life is very frustrating for him. And even though I feel that this is us going through this journey, I can obviously take myself away. I can go for that walk in the woods. I can go out and socialise with my friends. And so I'm very tolerant of that. And we just have to live with it. I am upbeat. I am positive. I am good for him. I am definitely good for him because he's a naturally glass half empty person and I'm a naturally a glass half full person. And through this diary, I want to share the ups and downs of her life. But for this moment, I want you to understand that as much as I love Mick, and I really do, I am not unhappy that this part of my life will end sooner than I thought. Because I had visions of being his carer for another 10 years, and that was a really depressing thought. So knowing that he has about 2 years has given me a new lease of life and energy. It allows us to really enjoy those 2 years, and to make real plans, to make a real difference and not just drift along. And actually, do you know, from talking to him, from what he said, he's feeling okay about it too, because he knows that he will, although he knows he will feel scared as we get closer to the time, we both will. But actually, he's relieved that he hasn't got to live for another 10 years with the pain that he's in, with the discomfort, with the lack of the ability to do things that he'd really like to do. His quality of life is not great. And so, even for him, it's a bit of a relief. And he's excited. He is excited about planning these next 2 years, and we really want to make the most of it. So he enjoys what time he's got left, and I am left with some amazing memories. So back to planning. So there are things I need to think about, like what to do with my business, because I don't want to be working all the time rather than spending time with him. But then how do we fund the holidays and the things that we want to do? How do I prioritize him over everything else, but keeping that balance? So I made an immediate decision that I would scale my business back. I've got a successful coaching business and I love what I do, but I don't want to spend all my time working. I want to spend it with him. So I am going to keep the business running because I really do love what I do. I'm good at what I do. I love seeing the transformation that I help people with. It is so rewarding, and I don't want to stop offering that service. And I'm also going to need to generate some income, and the business obviously does that. But I don't want it to be so stressful. I don't want it to cause that worry and stress. So I'm going to keep the business running with people that come to me and my current clients. I will take on a few new people, but I'm not going to scale it. I'm not going to really grow it. So these are the things I need to talk about, need to think about, and particularly about money, because I want to be in a position where I can live, we can afford our house, we can afford what we want to do, but without me having to have this really a business where I'm working long hours. So I have had a really productive week this week. So one of the things I've done is I've actually changed our mortgage to interest only, just for 6 months. So that gives us 6 months of extra money that we can put towards our holiday fund. I've also set about selling our second car, because we had a convertible that is lovely and we use it for runarounds, but we don't really use it much, and Mick struggles to get in and out of it. So it's just money sitting on the drive. So I've started the process to sell that. I've also then looked into using that money to buy a used Golf, practical little runaround, because we have actually got a Volvo. It's a lease car. It's through Mick's pension, so it's reasonably costs for what it is, but it's more money than we need to be spending on a posh car sitting on the drive when we really don't go anywhere these days. We go to the hospital and back, go shopping and back. That's about it. So we're going to get a nice little runaround that serves its purpose, and then send the lease car back, which will save us quite a few pounds in the month. So once I've got all of that in place, I've worked out I'll be able to cover our costs without any extra income coming in for 6 months. And I have got some clients and I will keep some clients, so that'll be extra bonus on top. Then I realised I'm 55 in August. So I looked into what my private pension would pay out, and I was very pleased with the valuation, given me more than I expected as a lump sum and then as a monthly payout. So in August, I will cash them in. I will take a dedicated amount of that money and put it in the Mick bucket list fund, and that will fund our next 2 years, whatever we want to do. And obviously some of it then needs to be locked away, because I'm planning on living another 30 odd years. So that'll be locked away for my future, and we'll be laughing. So I feel really happy about it this week. It's been a great week of planning, a great week of feeling really satisfied about the fact that we're going to be able to do what we want to do over these next 2 years. So we get through this 3 months where Mick is going through the treatment and recovering. We've got our cruise at the end of that, and then we can start spending on the other things that we want to do. And I've asked Mick to start a bucket list so that we can actually tick those things off we go. So it's been a great week, and I would just advise anybody, if we're going through any of this, think about what's important to you, because having lots of money is only about having enough money to do what you want to do. You know, I'm scaling everything back at the moment so that we can live a simple life but a happy life. And actually, do you know what? I learned that really through lockdown, because through lockdown, I'd just been made redundant before lockdown, so I wasn't working. We had a lovely summer with the weather. We had time with each other. And 2020 was a fantastic year, and it taught me a lot that year. And I'm kind of taking what I learned that year into this couple of years and live the same way. So see you soon.